perseverance, this is my plan. To set the future generation. We just cannot continue in this way. We must invest in them children today. As we pledge our lives to be living in peace, love and unity. Peer pressure is a different thing today. The friends that you keep could lead you astray. Being different, having challenges along the way. Determination will bring you success one day. Be responsible for your own actions and be able to rise to the occasion. Every action has its repercussions. We are heroes have to lay down the foundations. We are heroes have...
Yes, so pleasant good day to each and everyone that is locked on. Those who will come on very shortly, we ask you to share the live. Let the live build, let the live build. There is some serious business at hand that we need to deal with. Brother Mark, first, as the live billing, I want to congratulate you on that initiative, that walk from San Fernando to the Queen's Park Savannah that went just a couple of days ago, Sunday in particular.
Yeah.
It was a great success, and I know for a fact next year it will be bigger and better.
For real.
We also did our part as the Justice Committee. We held a vigil. That vigil was, of course, in not only solidarity, but also in sympathy, and also to express our dissatisfaction in our country in relation to the crime situation. Nevertheless, we believe that changes must come, and that we must play our part in society to ensure that changes come within our community, within our constituency, within our country, so that we can be saved, we can go back to the way in which we used to live, with that love and with that harmony, where dialogue is the solution to solve problems. Coming out of that last development, Brother Mark, coming out of that last development, we see Trinidad and Tobago on a whole demonstrate their dissatisfaction with the state of affairs in our country. And while the focus is on that, I also see the number of distractions that the politicians put out there to derail and to detract the stability of the dissatisfaction that people continue to demonstrate. And today is no different, ladies and gentlemen. Today is no different. As chairman of the Justice Committee, we have looked at what is taking place within society. And we, of course, decide that we will live, as Brother Mark just said, we will practice what we preach. And when we founded the name, the Palo Seco Area Justice Committee, that name, we came up with that name collectively with some of my good friends on the Gong Report, some of our community activists, people like Marshall and Mark and others, we came up with that name, the Justice Committee. And we intend, as usual, to build this foundation on justice. And if we build our foundation on justice, then we can only stand for justice. Despite what development take place within our country, despite how things run, despite all of that, we must be able to stand our ground and demand fairness and justice in every aspect of our society. Coming out of the death of Miss Barrett, we recognize, Trinidad and Tobago recognize, and we really want to applaud the police service, Brother Mark, under the stewardship of Commissioner of Police Gary Griffith, for, if I should use the word, for the vigor and the enthusiasm that they put out to ensure that those who were allegedly responsible faced the corridor of justice. Coming out of that situation, we understand that 2 suspects in that matter also lose their life. I listen Trinidad and Tobago via social media, via press conference, via community speaking. I listen to a message that the country was signaling in relation to all these events. While we understand without a doubt all that take place, all the developments, as the Palo Seco Area Justice Committee, we must always maintain that justice be served according to law. And I will tell you why I am going there. As a result of those 2 individuals who died in police custody, we had a number of statements and comments. Some good, some not so good, and some ain't good at all. But to the end of that, Trinidad and Tobago must function according to law and order. Even though at sometimes we allow our emotions to get the better of us, we must as a people function through law and order in this society. Law and order must work for all. It must not be one law for you and another law for me. It must never be one law for the rich and another law for the poor. We have experienced over the years. A type of behavior by even those who are charged with the responsibility to enforce law and order. We have had over the years members of the protective arms, from great to small. We have had persons involved in trafficking, in contraband, in human trafficking, that is. We have had prison officers arrested for taking contraband into the prison. We have had Coast Guard and Army personnel put before the court for various offenses. We have had police officers before the court for a number of various offenses. We have experienced all that. And if we experience all that, ladies and gentlemen, it must tell us that something is wrong. One of my good friend, Mr. Naked, made a statement just a couple of days ago. And that statement, as I interpret, is as a result of what took place throughout this whole ordeal in relation to that young lady losing her life. Two other persons lose their life. And I heard my good friend call for the resignation of the Commissioner of Police, Brother Mark. He called for the resignation of Gary Griffith, which is his right to do. Which is his right to do. Nevertheless, Brother Mark, my personal view is that Gary Griffith, the Commissioner of Police, from where I sit, I honestly believe that the Commissioner of Police is making a sincere effort in relation to curb or to combat the crime situation. That is my view. Just as my good friend Naked have the authority to call for the resignation of the Commissioner of Police. So when I heard that call, I said to my daughter, I would not support calling for the resignation of the Commissioner of Police at that point in time. I want to be clear. I want to be crystal clear. So my daughter said also, I also agree. So we took the position of supporting the Commissioner of Police, Mr. Gary Griffith. But sometime later, the honorable political leader of the United National Congress, the leader of the opposition of Trinidad and Tobago, made a statement, and in my words, in my words, explained to Trinidad and Tobago that we must be careful that those who fought against monsters, meaning the behavior of some of the heinous crimes that is being committed in our country, she refers to them as monsters, which I want to say this evening, honorable political leader, I honestly believe that that is an understatement. These individuals, they are worse than monsters. They are worse than monsters. So she said in her own words that Trinidad and Tobago, we the citizens, we the opposition, we the citizens, we must not allow this country to become a police state. And then, Brother Mark, all hell break loose. So very shortly after, I read on social media where our commissioner of police is alleged to be asking the honorable political leader, Mrs. Kamla Prasad-Bissessa, my leader, the leader that I support, put out on social media, he wants to know if what Naked Express is the views of the entire UNC. I want to tell the Commissioner of Police this afternoon that he is out of place. He is totally out of place. Why didn't you call Naked and ask Naked what you want to ask him, or tell Naked what you want to tell him? You entitled to. But you, Gary Griffith, the Commissioner of Police, you have to understand that your office comes with scrutiny and it comes with criticism. And if you cannot take scrutiny and criticism, then you should do what Naked said, resign. That is what you should do. So you jump on a high horse because of the leader's statement, and you started by saying, allegedly, that the real monsters is the opposition who didn't support the bail bill, as you put it, and the opposition who didn't support that, and the opposition who didn't support this, and the opposition whatsoever. When I listen to the sentiments echoed by the Commissioner of Police, I listen with my left ears, and I heard the sentiments of Faris Alwari. I saw Alwari put on a nice, beautiful reverse psychology display of words. With the UNC didn't support that, and a grenade in somebody's hand, and the UNC saying that they could come on the streets, and a machine gun and assault rifle in somebody else's hand. And they voted, they said no to that, and no to that, and one set of political hogwash. One set of political hogwash from the Attorney General. Because people who read, persons who research, they will see that since in 2019, the bills and those that the opposition supports, and added to that, if Faris Alwari wanted to pass any other piece of legislation, he would have do just what he had done with the procurement legislation. That legislation had required a 3/5 majority, But Al-Wari brought it back to the parliament with a simple majority where they can pass that bill without support from the opposition. So when I hear the Commissioner of Police talking about who is monsters and what leader this and leader that, I want to tell the Commissioner of Police, I do not know if he is dancing for his own supper, or old people say singing for your supper. I don't know if the Commissioner of Police became a member of the People's National Movement simply because his time is drawing near to know whether he goes or whether he stays. I want to tell Gary Griffith this evening that while I support you as Commissioner of Police, I want you to know that you are not the Commissioner of Police for the PNM. I want you to know that you is not the Commissioner of Police for the UNC. I want you to know that you are the Commissioner of Police for the whole of Trinidad and Tobago, and your office must stay and remain independent of every political situation. Your office must remain with integrity, Mr. Commissioner. Your office must remain without reproach. Your office must remain pure. And while I support you as Commissioner, we have to hold you accountable for your actions, because that is what your job is, to hold us accountable for our action. Not everything you hear, you fly off on a handle like a motorbike without brakes. Police the country. Enforce the law. Do what you are accustomed doing. I cannot blame you if someone lost their life in police custody. I expect you to do just what you did. Have an immediate investigation going on to come to the bottom of the truth. And if there are those, if throughout the investigation we find out that officers breach the law, then they would be before the court. And that is what I know you will do. But you must understand, Mr. Commissioner, that you are no longer a politician in that office. While you may have, while you may support, while you may like a particular party, you as the Commissioner of Police, your sentiments must be neutral in every aspect. Must be neutral. I am not saying, I am not accusing you, Mr. Commissioner, of being aligned to any political party. I am merely judging your actions from your statements. That is what I'm doing. Judging your actions from your statement. Trinidad and Tobago, I know plenty persons in high office is very much dissatisfied with the line that you took in this situation. And I am voicing my dissatisfaction with you in this instant as the Commissioner of Police. Leave that for the politicians. Leave that for Rowley and Stuart Young and them. I have seen I have seen this country, I've seen the amount of lies from these government ministers. We have had the ambassador of the United States in Trinidad had to speak out against misrepresentation of the truth by Stuart Young. We saw that Faris Alwari, when he speak and state that he had support with this last piece of legislation, that he had support from the judiciary and the South Chamber and this and that one, we saw where Faris Alwari had to send a letter stating that he will apologize at the appropriate time for misrepresentation of the truth. We have had the Minister of Health, the minister who stated that they will take the first vaccine according to Rowley, and Rowley was going to take the second one. We saw as of recent that the minister mismanaged the truth with the 2000 vaccine that came from Barbados. We have had a group of politicians who are strangers from the truth. They lie in every instance. They mislead the public. They misrepresent truth. And yet, Mr. Commissioner, I didn't hear anything from you. I didn't hear anything from you. If we had impeachment laws in this country, or if the citizenry of this country was serious, Rowley, Stuart Young, Alwari, and Drugstore Minister D.L. Singh, they would have been history. They would have been history. We have had lies in every corner. The opposition is not the problem. Ask Faris Alwari why they doesn't arm the judiciary with the necessary tools to fix the problem. The problem is not legislation. You could bring 1,000 pieces of legislation to this country, and if there is not proper management of these legislations, if there is not law enforcement in relation to these legislations, then we are wasting time. We have legislation here that they cannot enforce. I hear somebody tell me that is alleged that Alwari say he will support or he have no problem with the death penalty. Why didn't support it under the UNC? Rowley said that he will not support it. If only believe that hanging is a deterrent for crime, then bring the legislation back. Bring it back. But all the PNM good for is good public relation. Fancy words and fair speech, and they deceive the hearts of a bunch of idiots. A bunch of idiots. That is what they do. The judiciary is one of the greatest problems in this country. There is corruption in the judiciary from every corner, every sector. It's bribe and payment in every aspect. The judiciary is the problem. You have people saying down in jail for murder for 16 and 17 years. Some of them don't even have a trial date. They don't even have a date to come to court. But they sit down. And when you look at Pat and Morgan ruling, 5 years past, you can't hang nobody. Arm the judiciary. Why the government and arm the judiciary with the necessary tools that they need to get the job done? We don't plenty of them. Because I will tell you something, you know. I will share something with you today. I have a traffic matter going on out of a protest in Palo Seco since in 2012. Yes, a protest in Palo Seco since in 2012. Surijata Rambachan was the Minister of Works and Transport, and I mobilized a protest for 1 week in Palo Seco. 1 straight week. So here I am, now pick up a set of tires and heading home for the protest for the next day. Police followed me until I reached reversing in my gate. I had the pictures to prove it. Reversing in my yard. And they jump out and they hold me. And here what they charge me for: unsecure load, Brother Mark, and dangerous driving. Reversing in my yard, Brother Mark. I have all the photos to prove it. And guess what? They charge, I never hear the mini station. No, you have to say that he swerve away and tires fly off the van. If you hear how nice they put forward this thing. 10 years, 10 whole years, and justice cannot be served. For a traffic matter, 10 years, people. 10 long years. So what do you expect? Who is the problem? The government failed in every aspect. But every opportunity, they blame Kamala. They in government, they blame Kamala. I think they even blaming Kamala now for them winning the election. They blaming Kamala for the victory because like they vex the win. So to the end of the day, if you don't fix the problem with the judiciary, what would happen in this country is what is happening now. I remember under Basdio Pandey, Brother Mark, and Ramesh Lawrence Maharaj as Attorney General, after they lick up the old shady gang, they started licking up all the major drug kingpin. Everyone. Brother Mark, at that point in time, I was a runner. I was working with a particular lawyer in San Fernando. My job with that lawyer, I used to run all the investigative jobs, collect information, and bring it back to the lawyer to deal with the cases that he fighting. And there was a particular drug kingpin from Cedars that was arrested.
Wow. From
the Caracas.
Okay.
And Brother Mark, that individual remained in jail for a long while. And that individual was told by the learned magistrate to apply for bail in judging chamber. Brother Mark, let me tell you something with this judicial system. Brother Mark, it had a certain judge. A certain judge. And that judge was demanding $50,000, Brother Mark, for him to give the nod for bail. There was also a certain DPP officer at that time who wanted $100,000 in order not to object to the bail. You hear what I tell you, Brother Mark? That is what they were demanding. And this is what we face with in this country. We pull a wool over our head. And sometimes we behave as the ostrich. We put we head in the sand. And we believe that this system that we're living under, that this system is one of the most perfect systems. And Brother Mark, that may be so. The problem is not the system. The problem is the people who run the system. When you look at government ministers, recusing themselves 40, 50, and 60 times, eating out the wealth of the country. Let me tell you something, Brother Mark. This government is worse than a monster. This government commit 3 crimes in one. They kidnap, they rape, and they kill. They kidnap Trinidad and Tobago. They raping the treasury, and they killing the future of our children. That is what this government is all about. So if we're talking about fixing crime, we have to fix the problem from the head come down. But I still can't catch myself yet. When I see all this latest development, and Brother Mark, I ain't hear one single word from our president of this republic. Not a single word I ain't hear. The silence is so deafening. That when somebody talk, you can't even listen to that. And these are the people that we have running this country. These are the people that we have as head of our society. And if this is what we have, in order to fix the problem, Brother Mark, we have to be able to remove all of those persons who do not have the interests of this country at heart. From top to bottom. That is what we need to do. So, Mr. Commissioner of Police, you will continue to have my support in fighting crime. You have my support there, but leave politics alone. And more than that, Mr. Commissioner, stay away from my leader. You see my political leader, they call Kamna Prasad Bisesa, a lady who I am certain love this country, a lady who I know will go all the way out for Trinidad and Tobago, attack somebody else. Mr. Commissioner, Mrs. Prasad Bisesa is in her right to say what she said. As political leader, as opposition leader, as a citizen of this country, as a woman who has done more for this country than Rowley and all of them put together could do. She has the authority to make it quite clear that those who pursue monsters make sure that they ain't become monsters themselves. And Mr. Commissioner, if you just read the Bible by chance, take a read in Romans chapter number 2. In your own timing, take a little read in Romans chapter 2. And it will enlighten you and help you to do your job in a very, very effective manner. Why I was surprised, Commissioner, I know you come out from an army background. I know you come out from an army background. I know you know what it is to keep your boots on and fight the battle. Don't take off your boots for petty things like these, man. Don't unlace your boots for petty things like those. Your office come with criticism. Your office come with scrutiny. Your office come with that. You have to be able to take that and function. Let the soldier, let the military in you kick in when these situations confront you. Don't be a street fighter trying to react to every little thing you hear by the side of the road. That make you look petty, Mr. Commissioner. You fight your battle. You have our support, but fight your battle, do your job. Let us collectively rid this country of the criminal elements. Let us work to ensure that your children and my children could live in a better Trinidad. We don't have to worry about Alwari them children, you know, because we seen them post with all kind of gun. Them have all kind of security. But the little girl on the street who want to take a taxi to go home, let me protect them. Where the laws to protect them. Let us take away. This is what Alwari should be doing. Let us bring legislation to suspend the driver's license of anybody who is charged for rape and kidnapping. Bring legislation for that. Let us, Alwari, let us bring legislation that will help this country. You're talking about no bail? Let us bring no bail for kidnapping, for ransom, and rape. When a man rape a woman, let me tell you something if all you know. When a man rape a woman, that man destroy the fabric of that individual. In every aspect.
Yeah,
destroy it.
Totally.
It is something that cannot return to that individual. You can't undo what is already done. These people's minds damage. And that is why we will support no bail for these stinking raper men. These wicked human beings. These men who behave like they don't have a mother. These men who behave like they don't have a sister. These men who behave like they don't have children. That is what they do. These are the destroyers. These are the predators. These are the monsters. These are the Godzillas, the King Kong. These are the animals in society. What Farris doing to protect them? That is what we have to do. Let us protect our women. Let us protect our children. Let us protect our young people. We have so much murders in a matter of a couple of days. I believe we last come to about 49 mark.
Wow.
49. This is what we have to fight against.
Unacceptable word.
Mr. Commissioner, call us for support. Call us for support to bring these type of legislation to the parliament where these wicked animals could be penned up. We supporting that. We working for that. We standing up for that. And I watched this at one time with a mark. There's some wicked lawyers too, you know. There's some wicked attorneys also. I mean, they will sell the soul for $1. We have to take a stand to protect our people in this country. And if Rowley and the PNM can't do it, the people of this country have to do it. And there's only one way to do it. The only way to do it, good people, is to remove any government who cannot protect you.
Simple.
We don't care who government it is. If they cannot protect their citizens, then we must get rid of them. And only don't play mass and free powder. When you're playing mass, it's either you're bathed with flour, powder, or you're bathed in mud. And if we had to bathe in mud to protect we families, to protect we children, to protect we daughters, to protect we mothers, to protect we wife, let us come together and demand it. You have the power, people. We have the power. We allow a small handful of people that we call a cabinet to do us what they want in this country. We have seen a type of governance that we have never seen in the history of politics in this country. That is that evil PNM that we now have. Nothing like Manning PNM. Nothing like Patrick Manning PNM. This is the worst PNM that Olio put in office. And let me tell you something. It ain't too late. 2025 going to be too late. Let us stand together united. And I have a message for all my activist partners and them also. All my activist partners who fighting that I in charge and I start this and I do this and I. Only better I shut up. This is not about I. This is not about me. Our country must be about we. It's not about I. It's not about I could talk better than you. It's not about I have more supporters than you. It's about us working together to save Trinidad and Tobago from this evil, wicked, diabolical government that is in power. That is what it is about. So don't jump up on social media and this one that, and this one that, and that one this, and that one the other. Something like a pack of idiots. Let us fight together and save our country. That is what it's about. All you know it has some loose cannon. I know it has some loose cannon. You know what is the problem? Everybody creating a conversation with loose cannon. If there's a cannon that loose, don't create a conversation. There are persons who looking to be famous. There are persons who looking to be relevant. There are persons who is I and I and I and I. Hey, leave I by itself in the alphabet. Don't waste time on I. Don't waste time on I. We have a mission to accomplish. And this mission is to save TNT. This mission is to save our country. This mission is to ensure that the wealth of this country remain intact for the future generation. We have a government that passed a procurement bill. Pass it with a simple majority. Remove all the oversights. The cabinet is responsible to sell whatever they want in Trinidad. Give whatever they want. I want only to mark that TNTech building, Power Gen building on Rice Road. Watch who hands it's going to end up in. Power Gen building opposite license office on Rice Road. Watch that building. We have a government that a prime minister say he have no problem getting the rich richer so the scrums could trickle down. What a wicked, devilish statement. And people clap for that. We have a prime minister who say, the last man who put me out of parliament. Watch where I'm doing. And people clap for that. We have a prime minister who boasts that he living close to Lekito. We have a prime minister that tell a bunch of idiots that only have to weed off the government. They clap for that too. It's only now some of them hands stick to the side. Because let me tell you something. They even understand what the man just tell them. And this is the government that we have in power. This is the government that you put in power. A government who treat the African people like dirt. I want to go there this evening. You know. I want to go there this evening at all. But a government that treat the African man as dirt, and the African man feeling within his heart that, hey, I have a black government, a government that resembles me. I have a Kunta Kinte government, and that government is for me. Only to realize that that government didn't care two toots about all you. That government will bring hardship on all you. That government going and raise all the utility bills soon. That government going and have you to pay what you don't have. That government, ladies and gentlemen, I want all you to listen. I'm saying it again. 2025 going to be too late. That government will lick up all you within the next 2 years in this country. Who ain't begging yet will be beggars on the side of the road. You want something? Right now, this government, Brother Mark, make everybody a vendor.
Yeah, for real.
Everybody is vendors right now. Who selling plum? Who spend this from cocaine boom come back? Everybody had to sell something, Brother Mark.
Yeah.
And poor fellas, I see them, some of them, they had the yam and thing they so long that it quail.
Yeah.
Everybody had to sell something. And pretty soon, everybody going to be stealing something. Because let me tell you something, people. If you feel for 1 second of your life that this PNM administration is your friend, you better think again. Think again. All you hold on a little bit, and all you will see what will be the end result of this said country in Trinidad and Tobago. Honorable leader, tonight I am calling on you as my leader, as leader of the opposition, as leader of the UNC, and as leader who have half of this country support, that we now must take the fight to the PNM doorstep. We must now take the fight to the PNM doorstep. We must fight them on the step. We must occupy their steps and fight them right there, because 2025 going to be too late. 2025 leader going to be too late. This government leader, you know that this government have no compassion for people. Leader, you know this government have no love